For most of America, Willie Nelson has always looked like freedom personified. The braids. The bandana. The outlaw country legend who smoked marijuana on the roof of the White House, sang about life on the road, and somehow turned rebellion into comfort. Even at 92 years old, he is still touring, still recording music, still smiling like a man untouched by regret. But the truth is far more complicated. For decades, Willie Nelson lived two completely different lives at the same time. One belonged to the public, the easygoing drifter with a guitar and a grin. The other was a man carrying guilt, broken relationships, financial collapse, and private pain that followed him long after the applause stopped. The cracks first appeared in his marriages. Willie married his first wife, Martha Matthews, in 1952 before fame ever arrived. They were young, struggling, and constantly short on money. While Martha worked to support the household, Willie chased music across Texas bars and roadside clubs. He later admitted he was rarely home and often unfaithful. Their marriage became turbulent, explosive, and eventually impossible to save. Then history repeated itself in an even more devastating way. While married to his second wife, Shirley Colley, Willie secretly began a relationship with Connie Kepke during his touring years. The affair stayed hidden until a hospital bill arrived at the house in 1969 revealing the birth of his daughter Paula. Shirley reportedly discovered the betrayal by reading the paperwork herself. In one moment, Willie's carefully separated worlds collided. That may have been the beginning of the double life people never fully saw. Because while the public celebrated the outlaw image, those closest to Willie often experienced something very different: long absences, emotional distance, and the loneliness that came from loving a man who always seemed to belong more to the road than to home. And then came the disaster that nearly destroyed him. In 1990, the IRS hit Willie Nelson with a staggering tax bill worth more than $30 million. The government seized homes, equipment, and many of the possessions he had spent a lifetime building. To fans, it looked like a celebrity financial scandal. But privately, it became one of the darkest periods of his life. Instead of disappearing, Willie fought back the only way he knew how: through music. He released the IRS tapes, "Who'll Buy My Memories?" and used the profits to repay the debt little by little. It was defiant on the surface, but beneath that resilience was a man watching decades of work collapse in front of him. Then tragedy struck even deeper. In 1991, Willie's son Billy died by suicide at just 33 years old. Friends close to the family later described Willie as devastated, though he rarely spoke publicly about the depth of that grief. For a man who spent 60 years singing about freedom and escape, there was suddenly nowhere left to run from pain. And maybe that is the real secret behind Willie Nelson. Not hidden crimes. Not conspiracies. Not some shocking revelation buried for decades. The real double life was emotional. America saw the outlaw legend. But behind the image was a man who spent much of his life trying to balance fame with family, freedom with responsibility, and success with the personal cost that came with it. Recently, Willie admitted that when he misses touring, he sometimes sits alone on his parked tour bus just to feel close to the road again. That image may explain him better than any song ever could.